Hello, today I want to talk about the railway rifle. I didn't realize it until I got a few good legendaries, but with the right setup, it's one of the best weapons in the game. Imagine taking a solid chunk of steel and firing it at someone's head. It's gonna hurt, right? That's the point about railway rifle. It uses the power of a steam engine to fire solid steel bolts at whatever you want destroyed. And it has a cool choo-choo sound effect once you reload. You can start to find the plans to make them from level 30 onwards in the areas to the south and the east of the map. But you can also buy the plans from vendors, including the Free States and shopping mall vendors at the White Spring Mall. Graham, the super mutant merchant, and the vendors at Watoga and Berkeley Springs stations also sell the plans. By default, the rifle fires single shots that do a base of 95 points of damage. This is more than the 70 base damage the hunting rifle does. It also has a very strong recoil, so at first glance it looks like a classic sniper, hitting hard but firing slowly. But if you look closer, it only costs 20 action points to fire in VATS, which is lower than the VATS cost of most snipers. Adding the automatic piston mod halves the action point cost and raises the fire rate to 75, which is comparable to the handmade rifle. That makes the automatic rail rifle unique. One of the things about the game is that hard-hitting weapons tend to fire slow and take a lot of action points in VATS. You're supposed to use them as precision weapons. On the other hand, fast-firing weapons do less damage per shot, and machine guns take a lot of action points to fire in VATS. You're supposed to rely on the fire rate to take out enemies. But the rail rifle breaks all the stereotypes. It does a lot of damage, but it also fires fast. It fires fast, but it's also very cheap in VATS. The only downside is that recoil is ridiculous. It almost seems like it's been specifically designed to be used in VATS, and that's exactly how you should use it because VATS cancels out the recoil. There aren't many mods for it. As I mentioned before, the automatic piston receiver increases the fire rate and reduces the VATS cost. Outside VATS, the extra fire rate will be useless because of the recoil, but when you add the mod, it also reduces the action point cost. It's an easy choice to use the automatic piston. The long barrel gives you more range and accuracy, but at the cost of more recoil. But as we mentioned before, VATS cancels out the recoil, so you want the long barrel. A longer scope will give you more accuracy, which is handy, but choosing a reflex sight reduces the action point cost to 7 per shot. If you have enough perception, then the reflex sight is probably the better option for you. A low health player with a full unyielding set will do especially well with it. The extra perception will make you hit more in VATS. The extra action points mean you can fire more. And the extra luck means more criticals. It's an ideal match. But unlike most rifles, there's no armor penetrating magazine, so make sure to use Tank Killer to give yourself some way to bypass armor, and the Critical Savvy perk card to get as many criticals as possible. There's no weight saving perks in the perception, so you should also be free to use commando perks for more damage. Ground and Pound should help you reload faster if you don't have the Speed Demon mutation. But you can replace it with other perks if you have the mutation, because reloading is only a tiny bit faster, and the hipfire accuracy bonus is not very useful with the rail rifle. And of course you want to go for headshots, so at least one level of concentrated fire. The spikes are very heavy, so Bandolier and the strength is very useful to equip. As always, which effect is best is a matter of personal preference, but I'll give some of my own thoughts. The magazine on the rail rifle is pretty small at only 10 spikes. That makes the quad effect a lot more useful than with other types of weapons. Anti-armor is also particularly useful because the rifle has no anti-armor magazines, so halving enemy armor makes a noticeable difference. Combine it with Tank Killer, and you reduce armor by just under 70% compared to 36% with just Tank Killer. Against bosses you still want the quad for more sustained fire, but anti-armor does noticeably more damage per shot, so it's better in normal play, but both are very viable as endgame gear. For the second star, the explosive effect is always good for tagging, but against bosses, 25% faster fire actually gives you more damage, especially if you're running a low health build for more critical hits. VATS Enhanced is clearly the best for the last star. 25% less VATS action cost doesn't sound like much, but this discount is based off the base action point cost, so it's a flat -5 to the action point cost per shot. With an automatic piston and a reflex sight, it takes 7 action points per shot, which is still pretty low, but with the VATS cost reduction that becomes 2 action points per shot, which is ridiculous. It goes well with any other combination of legendary effects, but it's particularly good with the quad. So an ideal combination will be quad, faster fire and VATS enhanced. so a magazine big enough to properly take advantage of a faster fire rate and a very low VATS cost. I get 492 action points with my low health character. That's enough to spam multiple magazines into a boss without running out of action points. The railway rifle is a very specialized weapon. For anyone who uses VATS, especially a low health build, it's one of the best weapons you can possibly get. It hits hard, fires fast, and has a very low cost in VATS. Once you've used a good one, you'll understand why the Choo Choo Club exists. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Feel free to leave a like, subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified when new videos come out. See you soon.